is haram, it is wrong logic. Because for haram, there should be strong evidence from the Quran or from Sahih Hadith. So based on this, the second group of scholars who say it is not haram, they say there is no text at all, anywhere in the Quran. This is the only verse which the scholars quote of Surah Mu'minun, chapter number 23, verse number 5 to 7, which they say it doesn't include masturbation. There is no clear-cut evidence, it only speaks about sexual intercourse. And there is no Sahih Hadith prohibiting masturbation. There are some daif and mawdu hadith which say masturbation is prohibited, but that is not good enough for evidence. So we come to the second group of scholars, and we'll discuss what they say. They believe that masturbation is makruh. Amongst them is Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, who was the companion of the Prophet. There is a person who comes to him and says that I have been masturbating. He says that masturbation is better than fornication. Marriage is better than masturbation. That means the call, the verdict of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, who was a close companion of the Prophet ﷺ, according to him, marriage is better than masturbation, masturbation is better than fornication. Indirectly it means that surely masturbation is permitted, but it is makruh. The best is marriage. If you cannot marry, then masturbate, because it will prevent you from fornication. So based on this, the second group of scholars who say masturbation is permitted but comes in the makruh category is Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He is of the opinion that masturbation should not be done, but if you're going to do fornication, then you can do masturbation, and he puts it in the makruh category. So the Hanbali school of thought, most of them, they say that masturbation comes under the makruh category. That means it's discouraged. And this is also said by Mujahid. He says that masturbation, it should be avoided, but if it's done to prevent fornication or zina, it is permitted. This is the view even of Ibn Hazm. That Ibn Hazm says that masturbation is makruh, it's discouraged, but if you're going to involve in fornication, then better do masturbation. It is permitted in such cases. And he says that though masturbation is permitted, it is not amongst the deeds of the noble people. It's not the deeds of nobility. That was his saying, Ibn Hazm. That means the noble people normally don't do it, so it is discouraged. So that is the reason this group of scholars put it in the makruh category. There are many other scholars in this category, time will not permit to discuss that. The third group of scholars, they put in the mubah category. The students of Ibn Abbas, some of the students, they understood that Ibn Abbas has put masturbation in the makruh category, and even they say it is makruh. But the other group of students of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, they said that it is mubah, permitted, without any condition. Amongst them, we have Jafar bin Zaid. He was a tabain, may Allah have mercy on him, and he was a student of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, and his opinion is that masturbation is permitted, there is no harm at all in doing, it is mubah, there is no sin, under normal circumstances permitted. There is another tabain by the name of Amr bin Dinar. According to him also, masturbation is permitted, there is no restriction, it comes under the mubah category. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. It is in the mubah category. Even the famous scholar Imam Shawkani, he's very famous, just 150, 200 years back he was there. And according to him also, masturbation is mubah. It is permitted. It is optional. If you want to do it, do it. There is no sin. If you don't do it also, there is no problem. It is under the mubah category. And even according to Bardawi, he says that masturbation is makruh, but depending upon the situation, if it causes you trouble, it comes under the haram category. And he also goes on to say that if you fear you will do fornication, masturbation becomes fard. That's his opinion. So here you have three groups of scholars. One group which is a majority saying it is haram, based on the verse of Surah Mu'minun, chapter number 23, verse number 5 to 7. Whereas the second group of scholars say it is makruh, it's discouraged. And the third group say it is mubah, it is permissible, it depends upon you. According to me, I being a medical doctor, that in our medical college when I did my medicine, they used to say that when you ask a person, do you masturbate? 99% will say yes. And the remaining 1%, they are lying. Anyway, this is just a joke. It's amongst the medical students. It's not a fact. But according to research, today research tells us that amongst the males, 95% masturbate. Amongst the females, approximately 80% masturbate. I'm not saying that it is normal to masturbate, but it is very common. And there is a myth that which is there if you go to some of the Islamic sites, and those who believe it's haram, they say that masturbation causes blindness, masturbation, it causes nervous problem. All these things are a myth. In no way does masturbation cause blindness. In no way does it cause a nervous problem. Yes, if you do excessive masturbation, there can be certain problem, that is excessive masturbation. And even medical science tells us, if you do excessive sexual intercourse with your wife, maybe 10 times a day, even that will cause problem. So excessive anything or excessive most of the things will cause you problem. But normal masturbation medically doesn't cause any problem. If you do masturbation according to medical science, it is normal. If you don't do also, it is normal. But the majority of the people are involved in masturbation. But I'm not saying it is the norm, but I'm saying that majority people do it. So based on what the scholars say and what medical science says, I agree more with the second group of scholars, and I would say that masturbation is makruh. It is discouraged. To make anything haram, you require a strong evidence from the Quran or from Sahih Hadith. And there is no evidence whatsoever. The verse of the Quran, I do agree with the second group of scholars. For example, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah be pleased with him, and the other group of scholars, Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. I believe with Ibn Abbas' call that it is not haram. And this verse of Surah Mu'minun, chapter number 23, verse number 5 to 7, does not include masturbation. It's not prohibited. It is restricted to sexual intercourse. And I put it, because there's no evidence, it will either come in the mubah. I put in the makruh because I agree with the call of Ibn Hazm that it is not the act of nobility. But because majority of human beings are involved in it and there is no evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah to prohibit it, I put in the makruh category. Everything the majority do is not correct. For example, today, according to research, 95% of the women in the Western countries, before they pass the university, they are involved in zina. That does not make zina halal. Not at all. The Quran is very clear cut in Surah Isra chapter 17 verse number 32 that zina is prohibited, it is haram. Majority doesn't give it a sanction to make it halal, but if there is no text in the Quran or Sahih Hadith prohibiting it, it becomes mubah. I put it into the makruh category for various reasons. What are the reasons? It's not the act of the noble people. Number two, that excessive masturbation is haram. It can cause problems. It can cause health problems. It can cause psychological problems. And most of the time, masturbation is associated with haram activities. Most of the time, masturbation is associated with pornography. Whether you're watching a blue film or a pornographic film, or you're watching obscene photographs, images. Here itself, if it associated with haram activity, that again becomes haram. So if you associate masturbation with pornography or with obscene photographs, it is haram and that is prohibited and it leads to that high chances. That's the reason I would say that best is to avoid. But if you cannot marry for various reasons that we have, so the best would be you fast, as was recommended by beloved Prophet in Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, hadith number 5066, that, O young people, whoever has the means to get married, they should get married. For it will help you to lower your gaze and guard your modesty. And if you cannot marry, then you fast, it will reduce sexual urge. And this is scientifically proven that if you fast, it reduces your urge of your sexual desires. So the best is to fast. But it will not be possible to fast always, and depending upon the levels of sexual urge, that keeps on differing. So based on this, the mustahab is